to deal with real topics, issues that women today are facing. Whether you're married, single, or divorced, this show is for every sister. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and every Tuesday at noon on the YouTube channel. If you like our show, please like and subscribe. And leave a comment and let us know how we are doing.
We are sisters, married sisters, living our best lives, being blessed wives with our misters. We are sisters, we are married sisters.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. The way I would think of it in a more practical way is if we think about, 4 different women here, but I'm pretty sure if you're anything like me, when you go to the grocery store, you're buying the same things this month that you bought last month. You're cooking the same meals this month that you cooked last month. And that has to do with exposure. That all has to do with exposure, what diets we were exposed to growing up, what things, it's all exposure, right? Fried chicken, yeah, that fried chicken. And so until light or information, light, dispels darkness, and so that's information. Until information is given or information is desired, I think that's really the key, because we can give information. Yes. We know all day, although we were talking about a juicy cheeseburger maybe after after today, we know if we eat juicy cheeseburgers 7 days a week, the result of a juicy cheeseburger, what that's going to do. Now maybe somebody that won't have an effect, but I know what that's going to do for me. Right. So when I have the right information and the desire not to allow that to affect my physical body, I make better choices. So until someone actually has the desire, we can give all the information that we want to give, but it's got to be birthed out of them to be ready to shift into a more healthy way, because everything is going to be normal if that's all you know. Just like our grocery list. It's normal for me to go buy the same stuff. It's very normal, where someone else can look at that grocery list and say, what in the world are you buying? Because it's abnormal to them, right?
That's my special.
That was a great example.
Really good. Yes. And so now we're all going to be self-conscious about our checking our grocery list.
I'm a creative one, so I don't buy, I don't have a norm like that when I go to the grocery store. I think that's just because I love to cook, but I'm a mood cooker. So I try,
So we're all coming to your house.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
I'm the one that shows up at Thanksgiving, and my niece will say, what is she making now? Thanksgiving and Christmas is not the time to start with a new recipe. They tell me that all the time, but I'm that creative one. Here you go. I'm proud of it too. So I'm always trying to be creative.
But I want to get back to, may I speak? I'm a woman and may I speak. But there's times where sisters, we tend to silence each other. And that's one of the things too, like even in our churches. We may see someone struggling, or, we don't want to take that time to talk to them or see what is going on. And I think that's so important. I know this is Married Sisters, and so just speaking to like sisterhood and establishing sisterhood, I just think that, we can't ignore, even in our churches, what's going on. We see people hurting, they may not want to speak up. So how is it that, even as a pastor, Sister Tyra, I'm sorry, I know you was writing, but do you experience that, in your church? Like, you may see someone hurting, but yet, you may have other sisters, cliques that seem like they want to silence them, or how do you recognize that or discern, hey, the sister's going through some stuff and to help them?
People come to church and they come damaged, right. But yet they also come with not, they don't trust anybody, because they're going to bring the experiences they had at every other church to the church where you are. And as many times as you might tell them, listen, I'm here to do you good, I want to help you, and they say thank you, but they'll still have the same behavior they had everywhere else because they've been damaged and injured, and now they don't want to. It's hard to let go and really let somebody in, but you always have those other people. You have to really build a network of people, and I'm telling you, you can't complain in what you don't train in. People don't always come already ready. There are very few of those. Most of the people that come have to come and learn a whole new culture, because every church has a culture. Yeah. And they have to come and learn the language of that church and the culture of that ministry and what the assignment of that ministry is. And as we like to say, get the spirit of the pastors on you. My husband and I were just talking about, I said, one of the pastor's nightmare is a pastor that loves to do this and that. And we've shared, buildings with someone before, and the pastor's like, yes, come on. We've got this great building. There's more than enough room for all of us. Come on, let's share the building and we'll split the bills a little bit, or you just do such and such and we'll be fine. That's the pastor, but that's not the people. And if the people do not have the spirit and mindset of the pastor, the people are going to give you HE double hockey sticks. And they're going to make it miserable because they're going to look at you another whole way. And your stay there is going to be unpleasant. But now if you get people that have that same mindset, so that when you meet that usher at the door, that greeter, they have the same spirit about themselves that's on the pastor. Because before they ever hear the message, they're going to run into several people that are either going to determine whether they come back or say, I am not going to get me out of here. Where these people come from? Right. So people have to come and be cultivated, and you've got to get that toxic stuff out, and we've got to really have an atmosphere of healing, while sometimes we as pastors are being healed ourselves, because I always say leaders can't be bleeders, because it's going to look like a crime scene, like on CSI. There's DNA material everywhere, and because you're bleeding all over the place, you're spilling out all over the place, and you've got to hold it in. You just can't do that. You've got to hold it in. And a lot of times we don't know that because we haven't been taught. There again, we go with the culture. You have not been taught how to do that. A lot of pastors just put you out there until you go pastor. Yeah. And so you go out there and not realizing that, in 2 or 3 years, now I know why that one acted that way. I see what happens. And if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't have self-care, you can't help take care of God's people. And then you can't be trusted with people. So you still have to be mindful until you really have people that you can trust, to know that they're not going to mishandle the people, because you will have people that don't bother the pastor with that. Shh, leave the pastor alone. But the pastor really wants to know. And like I tell people, they say, but you already have so much going on. Yes, but this is what I'm called to do. This is what I'm here for. If you don't give me the opportunity to do what I'm here for, I'm just a waste. Let me do what I'm here to do. And that's how we do God, though. We don't let God do what he's here to do. And because we feel like, I don't want to, I'm just going to burden him. I know the Lord is tired of hearing from me. I hear people say that all the time, because that's how we think of God. We think of him like we think of other people. God is not like anybody else you've known. He is not like, Uncle Ray, Aunt Betty Sue, Sister Cornflake, Brother Captain Crunch. You have to start using cereal names, because people got all kind of names now at church, and you even say somebody's real name. But so it's a place of healing, so you have to cultivate that. And sometimes it does not go well. It doesn't always go right. And everybody doesn't gel with you. Everybody doesn't work in the mix right. Everybody doesn't come to the table the same way. It's going to be different. And you've got to be okay with that. And it takes a level of maturity. But it's not impossible, because God wouldn't tell us to do it if it was impossible. With him, it's possible. But just in your flesh, it's not possible. And, but you get a lot of damaged people and other people still hurting people. And then people feel like, I'm supposed to come to church and that's supposed to go wrong. Well, no, you showed up, right? There's other people you think you're the only one with issues here. Honey, everybody's got something going on. And you do that, but you learn to work together as a community. I try to use community more than I do family, because some people, family is relative. And I don't know what your family was like and how you deal with family. So we always say, come on, it's your church family. Yeah. Well, it is a community. Let's learn about community better and deal with it on a community basis. So you have to be patient with each other and work with each other. And but it can be done. But yeah, you see a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but you see that kind of bleeding over, like what goes on in their home, if they're being silenced in their home, and then they're trying to bleed it over into like the churches, and so they're running their churches the same way. So whereas you might have that first lady who knows her husband is dealing with all these issues, but yet they're silent about it, they still want to remain silent, and so it's like, but then you're making a bunch of people in your image and in your own likeness. Right. So I feel like you're just as much as God is holding you just as much as accountable for your husband. If you're that woman who knows, he commits adultery every 3 months, but yet you're pastoring, or you're doing all these different things, but yet you remain silent. And so we know in our natural court system, even if heaven is set up, like they said, he's the judge and the court system, where you're guilty by association. You get the same punishment, right? That's the way I look like. Yeah, you're an accomplice. So because you choose to remain silent, you know what I'm saying, about the stuff that you know that's going through, and not saying anything, I think, I think that, we need to begin to be opening our mouths and not continue on remaining in silence, even in our church dealing with stuff. And so one of the things, like I said, is we as African Americans, even in our homes and our church and our marriages, we want to shun against seeking help, getting, proper counseling. And counseling sometimes should not consist of, your pastor, but you might just need that professional help. Because like I said, we have a lot of women that are like going through some serious situations, going through abuse, going through, trauma in their marriages, but yet you're still coming to church, putting that smile on your face because you feel as if we got to support, our husband who may be the deacon, who may be the pastor. We don't want to open our mouths and say anything, but yet you're dying a silent death, at home. What is it about us as African Americans that we feel like we just won't seek help? Mental health issues is real. It's real in the church.
Yeah,
yes,
it's definitely real in the church. And I think, the topic of being silent, when you're silent, you won't acknowledge what you are experiencing. And we think about, the popular, Alcoholic Anonymous organization, and the first thing they say is you have to acknowledge that hello, my name is da-da-da-da-da, and I'm an alcoholic, or I'm a recovering alcoholic. Never been to AA, but I think that's how the phrase goes. Is that what they say?
For real.
So the first step, is definitely acknowledging that there is something that needs to be fixed. It's like that engine light that's on. You can see the engine light be on for 1,600 months. But if you don't acknowledge that the engine light is on, at some point you are going to end up on the side of the road, and you will be stranded. So I think oftentimes we ignore what is right in front of our face because it is very hard to not see that engine light, right? It's very difficult, but we ignore it maybe for whatever reason. So I think dealing with the acknowledgement of the issue is the first step. I mean, in the church, we are prime candidates. We have healing at our access. Yes. Yet we won't say what we need to be healed and delivered from. Yes.
We won't confess.
Yeah, we won't confess. I need help, Yes. And one thing I'll say, I do believe in healthcare professionals, but I also believe in the wisdom and the guidance of the Spirit of the living Christ. Yes. He will lead and guide you to all truth and righteousness. Amen. He gave us tutors and guides and ways to get resources if we don't have access to healthcare professionals. For me, that's what my journey has been like. He'd be like, oh, go read this book. Oh, go find this person. Oh, go look this up. And I would spend time in my closet, and I'm going to say a word that you all may think is woo-woo, but it's meditation. Meditation.
That's in the word.
Meditation.
Yes.
Meditation.
Right.
You know,
Say it again.
Meditation.
Yes.
It is not a bad word.
Right,
And
right.
so many things of deliverance has been hijacked by New Age
Yes.
that we don't
Yes,
understand.
counterfeits.
They're counterfeits.
Yes.
But this is our birthright. These are
That's
things we
right.
have
Yes,
access to.
yes.
So for me, it wasn't so much of, Lord, I'm asking you something, but reveal to me who I am in you. And I just meditated in that thing until it became a reality. And as I said, he would bring little things here and there that would walk me through that mental health cleansing process. But again, it first started with the acknowledgement that this is broken. This isn't working.
Yes, that is so true because, I think that a lot of them do it because they seen their mom do it. Well, he's a good provider, but yet you have no emotional, sexual, romance, nothing else in that relationship. And then, and he may be tipping out, doing all this kind of stuff or whatever, but, well, my mom said and done it. Dad was a provider, never home or nothing like that. We tend to just continue on replicating it. And like I said, you see it so much in the church, whereas the church now, the church needs the help. The church needs the mental health help, and it's just, to me, I think it's sad, because you see, like now, all the churches are pretty much being governed by the government. It's telling you when you can have church, and not only when you can have church, what you can do in churches. I went to a church, we visited a church over in Ohio, and, they posted it just because, they had to. No dancing, no shouting, no speaking in tongues, no this and this and this. Wow. But that was the law that Ohio has them on there. If you're going to have church, well, this is the way you're going to have it. And the thing is that we are set in silent. We tolerate so much, and that, we even close our eyes to a lot of the issues that's going on, in the churches. So it's time, as women, and and I say women because this is Married Sisters, to begin to open our mouths and no longer be silenced, because if somebody has a history of molesting little kids, and then they show up with a 16-year-old and he's a grown man, you choose to be silent. Child protection was formed in 1876, but we'll normalize it. Oh, they did it back in the 1800s. They did it back in the 1920s, and that's okay if they want to do it in the 2000s. No. Sex with children is wrong. Period. Sex trafficking is wrong. Period. Aborting unborn babies, it's wrong. Period. And I believe us as a church, we got to discover our voice, because the church isn't being heard anymore. Right now, we're not people don't take us serious, and it's begin to open our mouths and follow the pattern that God had set for us, the pattern of the church, and not our pattern, and making it in our own image and in our own likeness. Just the fact that we will tolerate things just to have, we'll tolerate the lifestyle, the ungodly lifestyle, or the sexual lifestyle, just so that we can have music and people up dancing in our church. But those seeds are being spewed out. And I watched a whole generation of young women in this church become lesbians.
Wow.
Because that pastor wouldn't say anything, wouldn't address it, and left them on, spewing that stuff out. You got to remember, seeds grow up.
That's right.
They're planting them and stuff. And, even as young children, these seeds, like you said, they manifest, and you saw that, your manifestation come through you. And I'm so, like I said, just the fact to acknowledge it is so important. Get the help. So I'm gonna go back to you, but do you feel like, or did you go and get the counseling, did you go get counseling you need, or how did you come through and walk through your deliverance?
Let me look at y'all, okay? I'm a proud mental health advocate, first of all, and I believe in counseling, meditation, natural things to free your mind and help you be pulled from the trauma and those behaviors. And so, yes, I'm still in counseling. This is my third counselor, thankfully. The first two counselors, I knew I needed to just seek help after what I endured with my mom. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go to anybody. But it's a thing of like finding the right counselor. So now, you know my counselor. I sent you her information. Just a wonderful lady. And so I'm just big on just like finding the right person who understands your specific trauma. And so my counselor and I, like, that's my girl. And we can relate on like so many levels. And when I say my girl, like, she's well in her 50s, so it's probably laughable, but like just the relatability is beautiful. And so not only is counseling important, but finding the right counselor is so important. And too, you said a word, you said normalize. And so we normalize bad behavior and we refuse to say something. But what we have to understand, our people, my people, is that we can't just stay silent because we're so used to just seeing that behavior. We have to be willing to be ridiculed, to be criticized, to be thrown by the wayside. I've been thrown by the wayside many a times, but so was Christ. Many of times people didn't agree with him. They didn't want to listen to him. He was shunned, and he is the Christ. So we have to be willing to endure what comes with saying, why is that baby sitting on your uncle's lap and you know he's whatever? Why is your daddy doing that to so-and-so? We can't just sit silent because babies continue to suffer because of your silence. So speak, say something. And for me, I feel like I've just grown comfortable and continue, and my counselor has taught me this, to find my voice, not to hurt people, but to say something. And as an educator, it's a must. I say something to make sure these babies are advocated for. I say something to make sure these babies are taken care of mentally. These babies have endured trauma, as we all have with COVID. It's up to me to tell principals and teachers that these babies are struggling. I know you said they need to be here with this Spanish content, but I don't care nothing about this content. These babies are struggling. And if they're struggling, maybe something is going on here. So it's up to us. Disregard what's going to come with you saying something. People are going to have something to say about it, but you still got to say something. Put your life on the line. You may as well die for something. You're going to die anyway. Die for something.
Yes. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Come on, that was beautiful.
But you never know if you're that person struggling, dealing with stuff and afraid to come out. You never know how you will set your whole family free. Like, your children may be grown and you're still dealing with some issues, and you see your children struggling, going through these same issues. It may just take you, like you did in your family, to just stand up and speak and say, no more. You know, you release your whole family. That's the nation you call to. I would say, you know, because everybody, because people always say, call to the nations. Dude, that's your nation right there.
Hi again, this is Becca Wilson. Hope you have enjoyed our show today. Don't forget to like us and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and tune in live here every Tuesday, 12 noon, for a new episode of Married Sisters. Thank you and have a great day, everybody. Hi, everybody. My name is Becca Wilson. I am the host and founder of Married Sisters Talk Show.